And on the sidelines of the G7 summit in Evian, President Lee Jae Myung held a series of bilateral talks with fellow leaders. On Tuesday, he met with the prime ministers of Canada and Germany to discuss ways to deepen cooperation. Our Blue House correspondent Song Yoo-jin reports.
President Lee Jae Myung's summit diplomacy continued on the sidelines of the G7 summit. On Tuesday, he held back-to-back talks with the leaders of Canada and Germany. President Lee and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney focused on deepening strategic cooperation in defense, security, energy, and critical minerals.
지금은 유사 입장국으로서 서로에게 도움되는 관계로 양국 관계가 매우 발전하고 있습니다. 우리 서로 협력할 게 많으니까 어떤 협력을 더 구체적으로 할지 한번 논의해 보기로 하죠.
Since we last met in Korea, our partnerships continue to grow. We're working across defense, across investment, across trade, on all aspects, including on the cultural side. So
According to the Blue House, President Lee said that Korea is prepared to help strengthen Canada's defense capabilities as a trusted partner. Prime Minister Carney responded that Canada places great importance on cooperation with Korea and agreed to continue discussions on related initiatives. The meeting comes as Korea's Hanwha Ocean and Germany's TKMS compete for a multi-billion-dollar submarine contract from Canada. Citing Canada's Secretary of State for Defense Procurement, Politico reported last Saturday that Ottawa expects to select its preferred bidder within 30 days. Before meeting with Prime Minister Carney, President Lee held separate talks with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz. High on the agenda was expanding cooperation in the economy, defense, science and technology sectors, as well as international security.
독일과 대한민국은 많은 영역에서 서로 협력하고 또 협력을 통해 시너지를 만들 수 있는 국가라고 생각합니다.
On defense, the two leaders discussed moving beyond competition toward joint research and development, co-production, and joint entry into third country markets. Chancellor Merz also invited President Lee to the Asia-Pacific Conference of German Business, which will be held in Seoul later this year.
So I'm very much looking forward to my visit to your country by the end of October. We invite you to give a speech and to be part of this important conference.
More bilateral meetings are expected on Wednesday, the final day of this year's G7 summit. Song Yoo-jin, Arirang News.